All right, we are on air live. It is Thursday, August 13th. Happy August, everyone. Oh, hold on. Sorry, there's about to be a really loud whistling tea kettle in the background. Apologies. Anyway, we're going to do a quick update today on the status of Backdrop CMS, the project, and the infrastructure that the project needs. Really quick, at the top of the meeting, we have a section for general announcements. It's been the same thing for months and months now. We have PHP Storm licenses for contributed developers for Backdrop CMS. So if you're working on a theme, a module layout, already have one in the contrib repo or planning on putting one there soon. As soon as you become part of that group, we can distribute a license. So send an email to info@backdropcms.org and we can get that out to you right away. No new updates from the PMC. And Nate, I want to turn it over to you for community growth updates. Lots of exciting news there.
Okay, so community growth. Yes, actually didn't check in on the number of contrib authors, but I don't think there's been a change since last week. We've got 38 total members of the contrib group. If you're interested in porting a module to Backdrop, then head on over to github.com/backdrop-ops/contrib. And that's where we manage our issue queue for new project applications, which is basically just checking to make sure that that you followed coding standards roughly, but more importantly that you include a license and a README file, and that you maintain the history from 777. So total number of projects, we have 140 total projects for Backdrop that are in the Backdrop contrib organization on GitHub. Including 4 new projects since last week. Andy, thank you for doing those ports officially. That includes 3 new themes, which is really exciting, as well as an additional web form related module. So it's great to see those new projects coming in. And it sounds like Andy's got a couple more that he's working on as well. If you are interested in Backdrop but haven't done a porting before, you should know that it's really easy to do ports to Backdrop. It's one of the primary reasons why you would want to use Backdrop in the first place. Porting a module takes a couple hours usually. More complicated ones can take a couple of days, but usually porting jobs are really fast and really pretty easy. And we're really happy to see these new projects rolling into the contrib group, being shared with everybody else. Let's see. Every time you publish a release on GitHub, if you match the versioning string in your tag correctly, then that release will automatically be synchronized with backdropcms.org. And we're working on making those listings of modules, themes, and layouts more readily accessible. Those listings are not actually up on backdropcms.org, but they have not yet been themed, and they're not in the navigation yet. But there are 61 projects with official releases that have been synchronized over to backdropcms.org. We haven't taken account in the last couple of weeks, but apparently there's been a lot that have been having official releases. There's 8 new ones since our last count, which is probably a couple weeks ago. But fantastic not only to see the new projects that are rolling into the contrib group, but also the existing ones that are getting final or official releases. So it's really good to see continued maintenance and continued work on these projects. Let's see. Okay, next items. Infrastructure. We talk about all of the peripheral sites and infrastructure that is around Backdrop CMS every week. And the first one that we have been talking about for quite some time is update checking. Update checking makes it so that when a new version of module comes out, the existing sites will all be notified that a new version has been released. That's been out for ages now, actually, several months. Still working really pretty well. Now that we're building out the module browsing pages, I think that we'll start utilizing some of the analytics that we have at our disposal. Every time a project pings or a website pings backdropcms.org, it gets an inventory of what modules that site has installed, and so that enables us to to start accumulating usage charts. So that usage information is all being recorded, but we don't have it publicly exposed yet. My guess is that we'll probably go through these things kind of in order. That first we'll work on the listings, which are coming along, and then we'll work on the individual project pages, and then probably from there we'll probably get down to the usage charts. So things are moving forward there, but we're kind of progressing towards that ultimate goal of actually showing usage information. Project Browser. So Project Browser, what we're hoping to do is include in Backdrop Core itself a way for people to find projects, modules, and themes from within their own website, and then install those modules or themes. You can already install modules and themes. It's been a feature that's been in Drupal 7 for a long time, but it's rarely used because it's really awkward to copy and paste a URL. And if we just tack on the ability to find a project, then we can couple that with the ability to install one, and it would be really helpful. So this one's still hung up on some server-side work. The project browser client side is looking really good. Doc Wilmot did work on that a couple months ago. And actually the server, functionality-wise, is pretty much all done as well, but it hasn't yet been enabled on backdropcms.org. But we are hoping to do that in the near future. Let's see, Drush for Backdrop. Jen, you've been doing some work on this recently. You want to take it away?
You turned into a robot.
Oh.
Did you ask me to take it back over, or do you?
Yes.
Okay. So last week I did manage to get several different versions of Drush 7 running on my computer, but they all seem to be throwing the same errors about not being able to find the right version of PHP. So I then tried to upgrade my site and then broke my whole computer. So I will get back to that today once I unstick all my other problems. But I think I'm pretty close to getting it running, and once I get it running, then I'm going to start playing with the backdrop-y craziness of it. But yeah, trying to get my computer to a state where I can test newer versions of PHP was initially problematic, because I'm a couple of versions behind on OS and stuff. So we'll get that figured out, though. I'm excited to play with it. I got really excited last week, and hopefully we actually get there. Other stuff that we're working on as well, we've got our primary flagship website, backdropcms.org. Nate mentioned that we have module theme pages. They're just not in the menu because they're not themed yet. I know Wes has been working on getting those pages pretty for us, so hopefully those won't be too far in the future. I think I'm already super excited that they're, the information is available to people, which is much better than it was just a month ago. So we'll get that going soon. And as soon as we get those pages done, we're going to change gears and start working on a showcase site so that people can start posting the Backdrop work they've done for everyone else to see, sites built on Backdrop, which I think will also help our adoption, especially if we end up with that coming out about the same time as Drupal 8. People will be able to look at sites built on Drupal 8 and sites built on Backdrop, and I think that'll be kind of a good, tool for both platforms to have. So Wes just said, for those of you watching the video, that he hasn't got a chance to start on it yet, but he will have a lot of time tonight. Hopefully we got you unblocked on your database issues, but we will try and help you get anything else you need sorted out in the near future here too. Project itself. What we're working on right now, we have a bug fix release, which is 1.1.3. It currently contains a lot of teeny tiny changes, but none of them that are serious enough that we felt like we needed to issue a release right away, which is good. At some point there will be a security release for Drupal or a bug that we find that's a big enough deal that we need to push a release for that imminently, but until then we'll just keep working on the 1.1.3 branch with UX improvements and responsiveness changes and stuff like that. Our next minor release, 1.2, is coming up on September 15th, which is pretty soon. We're about a month away. And we've got a bunch of stuff coming along. We have the built-in rich text editor that I know Nate has been working a ton on lately. So Nate, let's turn this back over to you, and you can give people an update on rich text editor.
Yeah, sure. So as far as the minor release goes as well, the 1.1.3 version, I expect we'll probably see that next week or the week after, probably at the latest. I mean, yeah, there's some issues with Drupal, and whenever Drupal comes out with a security release, we synchronize at the same time. And of course, if there's a problem with Drupal 7, there's usually a problem with Backdrop as well. So that'll be coming in the near future, which is exciting to get moving. How's the let's see. I'll just keep rolling on. Okay, so 1.2, the next minor release is happening September 15th. So that is just a tiny bit over a month away. So that's coming up real soon. It's really exciting because there's a bunch of great stuff that's going to be in there. So first item is a rich text editor. We put in CK Editor a couple weeks ago, which was really exciting. The functionality is fantastic. You can customize your toolbar, and it works adequately well. If you upgrade a site that's using the old CK Editor contrib module, it notifies you saying, hey, you disable that old one and turn on the new one. And once you turn it on, then you're using the new one. It's great. It's built in. Let's see, there's an issue that has a bunch of follow-ups to that, just things that we would like to enhance about that experience, whether it's configuring a rich text editor or using the rich text editor that's in core. And that issue is 1087. And there's a bunch of, that's a meta, and there's like 5 or 6 issues inside of there that we're working on. 2 items that are probably the most important. One is ship with the text editor enabled out of the box. There's an existing issue for that, but actually Jen reinstalled this week and informed me that we actually do install CK Editor out of the box with the filtered HTML text format. So that issue, in a way, is kind of already done, at least the critical thing of just shipping with it turned on. So it is turned on out of the box, but there's still that issue is still open as we consider, like, do we want to rename the text formats, or do we want to turn it on more than one format, and all of those sorts of things. Let's see. Also really exciting, uploading inline images, or uploading an image directly through the image dialog in the rich text editor. There's now a pull request for that issue, which is really exciting. And it's really cool the way it works when you upload an image, it puts it into an inline images directory, and then it when you save a node or whatever kind of entity you have, it parses the text areas that are within that entity, and then associates the files and the inline images together. So it makes it so that if you were to delete a piece of content that used an inline image, it would delete the inline image as well. So they're actually bound to each other and associated, which is cool. Or if you reuse an image in multiple nodes, but then delete one, like, it knows that it's in the other one, so it doesn't delete it. All really great functionality. That one is held up, although we can't test on the JavaScript side because Simpletest doesn't have JavaScript support. We can test that functionality of adding and removing images and trackages. So that issue needs tests, and it also probably needs some feedback from everyone in the community. So if anybody gets a chance to try out that pull request, that would be great to get some more eyeballs on that.
Are there tests for Drupal 8 we can steal?
Yeah, almost certainly.
Okay.
And I think that that patch is mostly based on a patch from Drupal 8. It was actually my patch from 2 years ago. But there's some tests in there as well, and those just haven't been pulled over, actually, and so we can probably use those same ones. Let's see. The next module we'd like to include in the next release is date. And date has been an ongoing thing that we've been working on, and it's a little bit fuzzy as to what parts of date from Contrib are going to be moved into core. But there's been lots and lots of progress on that. Graham's been working on it for months now. And there's an existing pull request for that that I haven't had a chance to look at recently. But it does look like a pretty good place overall. It's currently passing all tests. It's just kind of hanging out for a little while. I think it needs more community review. Let's see. Link module is another module we'd like to include in core. And that issue is issue 240. There's also a pull request for it, and Jeff has been working on that for a while now. Let's see. Jeff's with us today. Anything you'd like to say, Jeff, about Link or any progress on that since last week?
I implemented the user interface requests to simplify the adding of a field, hiding the more advanced, putting in an advanced field set to hide a lot of it if you just need the defaults.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, that was really about my only complaint last time I tried it out, was that the user interface is too complex, and now hopefully I'll give that a look, and then yeah, I honestly think at this point we just need to do some testing on it and make sure that the situations of upgrading from 777 and upgrading from existing Backdrop site, that the upgrade is smooth for existing sites that are switching to, or that will be using 1.2 Backdrop, and then get it in, because that's probably in the best shape of any of these field modules between date, link, and email. So
okay, I have a site I'm porting to Backdrop that has link field on it now, so I can test that today for the upgrade path.
Super. Yeah, and I might just set up my local host for 777 has got every module under the sun installed, and every now and then I would I'll upgrade that site to Backdrop, and it's always kind of a fun little experiment. Almost everything that exists in Backdrop actually works right away. It's pretty fantastic, actually. So, but that includes some links. Okay, let's see. And then lastly, email module, simple email field. Last week we didn't have anything on this. This week it's almost done, which is great.
Yay, Paul!
Yay, Paul! Hello, Mr. Cat got on that and did what he does, which is basically kicked its ass. Doc Wilmot, thanks again for all of the reviews. I haven't had a chance to look at the email field stuff too much, although I did take a short look at it right before the call. But it's looking good. Doc Wilmot's been doing a great job reviewing, and there's been some great back and forth there. So it's great to see that one moving forward as well. Those are the things that we're planning on the 1.2 release. All of them look like they're in really strong shape right now. We might not get all of them in. Date module I'm particularly worried about due to its complexity. But the WYSIWYG stuff is in, and now we're just improving it. Link module is pretty much ready. Email is now heavily underway. And date is also really heavily underway, but has a lot of it's just a big project. So figuring that one out is probably going to be the toughest challenge. We've got 1 month left. I'd love to see some of these getting merged in the next week. Link in particular, hopefully we'll see moving in soon. And then date is mostly hung up on reviews. So if anybody would like to push forward core work, a review on date, I think, is probably the most pressing thing for us. Okay, that's it for the 1.2 release. Boy, if we get all of those in, it's going to be a kick-ass release. We have releases every 4 months, and so if that all comes to pass, we're going to be in a really strong position. Okay, great. We have a roadmap for kind of the future beyond 1.2, but right now there's no specific features marked for later releases, and I think that we're coming to a general consensus that 1.3, we're going to use that as an opportunity to solidify a lot of existing features and clean things up, including these continuous improvements that we're trying to do, including a bucket of user experience improvements and developer experience improvements, both of which we have buckets for in the GitHub issue tracker. I think we'll also probably, the UX issue kind of encompasses a bunch of layout improvements as well. So we're planning on doing a bunch of work. Layouts that we've had since 1.0 are really powerful, but it's mostly potential, because a lot of the actual functionality that you would see in panels, like in 777, just isn't built out quite yet. We've got great infrastructure, but it needs to be built out to really develop the flexibility of the system. And that's probably what we'll see mostly in 1.3.
If we don't get date done in 1.2, that'll also move to 1.3.
Oh, yes, of course.
But yeah, I mean, I think it would be good to add some new features in 1.3 just so that it doesn't look like Backdrop has stopped innovating or moving forward. But I would love to pick easy wins for that. Like if we wanted to look, we have a meta issue of all of the stuff that's in Drupal 8. Some of them are contrib modules in Drupal 7 that could be pretty easy to port. I think picking one or two of those and just getting those done, and then spending the majority of our time on things like layout improvements and responsiveness and user interface, I think would be huge. So it looks like there's anything that's easy turn out not to be easy. So we'll do a little review and see where we are. But I think we're actually in pretty good shape in terms of feature comparison. We are, aiming to make things easy for people who are running Drupal 7 sites. But I think it's going to be important for us to have a lot of the 80% features in there too. And Drupal 8 did a really good job of getting those in. I want people to feel like they're not missing that much in core if they choose Backdrop over Drupal 8. So we'll look at that. I think we're in pretty good shape, but if we can get a couple more things on the both projects have list, I think that would be fantastic. Okay, so other things we're always working on, we talked about user experience issues, also developer experience. As you guys are porting modules or writing custom modules or writing new themes or layouts, you're going to find there are things that just don't make sense. Part of that comes because we took over Drupal, and there are things in Drupal that just don't make sense. We've got new things that might not make sense because Backdrop has new things like layouts in it. So I think anyone who's working on writing new layouts or writing new themes or trying to document how to do things in Backdrop, if you run into something that feels like you're making an excuse rather than explaining something logical to someone, let us know, create an issue on GitHub and tag it with developer experience, and we can look at why that feels like an excuse and if there's anything we can do to make the way to do things a little more intuitive to new users. That's also super important. So we'll continue working on those things as well as everything that's on our list. And we usually work together on these things on Thursdays. So today, after this meeting, every Thursday, after this weekly meeting, we get together and work on various Backdrop-related things, whether it's core or working on contrib reporting modules. And we hang out in IRC. We have an IRC channel, which is #Backdrop. We have a subreddit at reddit.com/r/Backdrop. We are trying to think of other ways to create community online because both of those two forums are very developer-focused or nerdy. And we need to find a way to make the Backdrop community more inviting to people who are just, clicking a website together on the weekend and maybe don't hang out in IRC on a regular basis. I think we've discussed the ability of letting people sign on to the backdropcms.org website. I think that also lets them feel like they're joining a community, whether we end up using that for a forum or anything else. Having something to be a part of, I think, is a good part of what makes the Drupal community so strong. Having something like that would be good for Backdrop as well. But I want to get a single sign-on with GitHub so that all of the people who are developers don't feel like they're required to create a Backdrop account because they already have accounts all over the internet, and developers in general have accounts everywhere. And if we can give them an easy way to just say, oh, I'm the same person on GitHub as I am in the Backdrop world, I think that will be a big win for our community too. So I guess what we should do is create an issue for a single sign-on tool between Backdrop and GitHub. and get somebody moving on that. I guess that would probably go in the backdropcms.org queue because that's the first place we're going to use it. But if that just was a normal contrib module, that would be fantastic because then anyone else who's doing any other project that wants that feature for Backdrop would get it. And so I think that'll also help us start establishing a little bit more of a community in places where we can work together. Speaking of community, upcoming events, we have, let's see, in 2 weeks, Drupal Camp LA is coming up. So we're really excited about anyone who wants to give a talk there on Backdrop should. I don't think it's on our agenda to go there. I don't know if anyone's meeting, obviously, John meeting right now is going, but it's a good place to go and talk to people about Backdrop. Even if you're not using it yourself, you can come and ask questions and try and get a feel for who's interested in it and why and what it might be useful for in your future. That'd be good. The Nerd Summit, which is September 11th, 13th, is also a Backdrop-friendly event, and probably the Pacific Northwest Drupal Summit in October. Bad Camp, the Bay Area Drupal Camp, also in October, is going to be doing the first Backdrop-only event, not Backdrop-only, Backdrop-specific. We're going to be doing a summit on Thursday, which is the first day of the conference. So far, we have some ideas for talks that we want to do in the morning, and we want to do more informal working sessions in the afternoon. Probably also be a happy hour Thursday night, so if you get tired of sprinting or building or porting or doing whatever we're doing in the afternoon, you want to leave early and go to the whatever bar night thing, that I think right now the Backdrop Summit is scheduled to be in the bar, so you'll only have to walk maybe 50 feet. So that could be for people who just want to come and chat and not necessarily work but want to hear what's going on. That could be fun. So we have, I think, a couple of sessions up here that I outlined last time. We want to do, like, why is there a Backdrop? What is Backdrop? Kind of a live demo that's different, shows the difference between Drupal 7. I would love to have one session roughly on theming, one session roughly on porting a module, one session roughly on upgrading a site from Drupal 7. But if anyone has any other ideas or any spins on any of those and want to present, definitely let us know, because we would love to have as many potential speakers as possible. Bad Camp also has a scholarship program. We've got a set of money set aside, so if you need to travel out here and you want a stipend to go towards your airfare and or hotel room, the Bad Camp site should be launching this week or maybe next week, and you can sign up and apply for a scholarship, tell us why you deserve one, and we will be evaluating that as well. So Backdrop people almost as likely to get the money as Drupal people. But we'll see. Also coming up that same week are upcoming Backdrop-friendly events. But if anyone has any other events that you either know about that will be Backdrop-friendly that you're organizing, that you want to give a talk at, or are giving a talk at specifically about Backdrop, let us know and we can add it to the schedule. We currently have an iCal feed that anyone can subscribe to figure that out. And in the future, that will hopefully integrate with the Backdrop website, so you can go on to backdropcms.org and find it. Okay, Jeff just mentioned Drupal Camp Connecticut. I'll try and get that on the list too. All right, well, I think that's all we have on the agenda. Is there anything anyone here wants to raise in particular, questions, comments, things we should talk about this week? Pretty quiet. Yep. Okay. Well, I think then we'll just wrap this meeting and jump onto the internet, IRC or whatever, and continue as we've been doing a great job in the last few weeks, guys. Everything seems to be speeding up, which is fantastic. So we'll see you on the internet. Thanks for coming.
Bye. Guys.